Hey YouTube, how's it going? I haven't posted on here for quite a while, which I actually miss it. I miss YouTube, you know, I love this long form content, but I think lately I've just been focusing a lot more short form content. I've been posting a lot on Instagram, but you know, like I've realized I need to really post on YouTube a lot more, so I'm really going to try to be more active on here. Another thing why I want to get more active on here is I've actually launched a free group, which I'm super excited about. So I've linked in my description, and basically it's a free group where I'm just, you know, I'm offering a load in this free group, right? It's all about how to create content, whether it's short form, long form. I'm also doing free calls in there, free group calls, so you can jump on a call and, you know, ask me any questions you want about content. So it's really awesome. I'm really pushing this group. So yeah, as I said, link is in the description and please join that. But actually I read one of my comments and we were talking about white balance on the DJI Air 3. And I thought, all right, let me just refer this person to, you know, my white balance video. And then I realized I didn't have a video on white balance, which is kind of crazy because white balance is just so important when it comes to, you know, videography and creating your videos. It's definitely something you don't have to worry about if you're doing stills, because for stills, you can just probably leave it on auto white balance, and if anything changes, the camera will adjust, but you're only capturing stills. Whereas, you know, on videography, you definitely have to be more conscious of what you're doing with your white balance, because you don't want your white balance to be changing as you're filming. Like right now, I've just got it on like the sun, you know, kind of mode, and I want to leave it on that because I know it's just going to stay sunny. Whereas, say like a blue van drives past, if I had it on auto, it would get warmer and cooler, so you know the temperature would change. But let's just go over a bit like what is white balance. White balance is basically like the temperature of your image. Basically, it can either go warmer, and it's measured in Kelvin, so it can go warmer, which is actually a lower number, like 1000, say, is like very red, and then to like cooler, which is, you know, higher number, go all the way up to like, you know, 10,000, and that's a very like blue image. And basically adjust your camera to the temperature of where you're filming. So right now daylight sits around 5,000 to 5,600, you know, depending where the sun is. It's like pretty much smack bang in the middle. It's like quite a white, you know, a white glow. And basically you set your camera to around 5,600 if you're filming in daylight. Whereas if you were filming in more of like an incandescent light, so like, you know, inside a room, and there's those kind of like lamps. Incandescent is basically like those, you know, lamps that you get. Those lamps or those overhead, not including fluorescent. Fluorescent light is that very white light. Then you kind of set your white balance to maybe a lot lower, like 3,800 around there. But then you also have like fluorescent light, which is kind of a white light. On the presets on the camera though, it has more of a, maybe like a greeny tint. You'll notice that if you use the presets on your camera, which I'm going to run through in a sec. So, so what you basically want to do is set your camera according to, yeah, the temperature of the room that you're shooting in. Just for a side note here, you know, for the person who asked me about the DJI footage, you know, when you're flying a drone, you're mainly flying it in, you know, sunlight. So you should really just set it to 5,600. I'd normally just leave it on that. What's really helpful actually while you're shooting is the preset. I use this quite a lot, and I know there's other people, I have had comments on my Insta, people be like, why are you using presets? But I think they're absolutely amazing, because sometimes it depends on the type of photographer or videographer you are. If you're just running and gunning, which I do a lot of the time, you know, shooting events or so, you might not have time to set your white balance in terms of the numbers, right? Because you can actually go into a white balance setting, set the numbers there like to, you know, whatever temperature you're shooting in. But sometimes if you're running and gunning, you know, you're moving through different environments, and you can't always set it to the right temperature, and you don't want to leave it on auto. So you have these presets, and they're like sun, cloud or shade. I find them quite similar. Incandescent, and then fluorescent. And I'll like pop up the kind of logos on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. And basically you can just set these and they should be good to go, you know. So I normally do that when I'm kind of like, as I said, just running or gunning, and they're pretty accurate. So the sun preset is obviously pretty self-explanatory. If I'm shooting on like a beautiful day like today, I'd have the sun preset on, and it is your roughly like sitting around 5,600 kind of lighting. And then you have your shade or cloudy kind of feel, which is, you know, as you might presume, like a shade or cloudy, so it's a bit more blue. It's a bit more of a bluer kind of setting, a bit cooler, because obviously when the sun's out it's more orange, whereas when the sun goes away behind a cloud, turns a bit more blue. And then you have your fluorescent, which is obviously, you know, fluorescent lighting, that very white light. So this is kind of pretty close to daylight actually. Well, should be, but there's quite a few different fluorescent settings. So some are like -1 and +1 and +2. Yeah, you kind of have to be adjusting this to what's going on in the room you're in, and try and get it quite accurate, try and get it quite close. So yeah, you have a few different types of fluorescent light there that you can kind of choose from. And then the other one is incandescent lighting. And as I mentioned before, incandescent lighting is that kind of warm lamp that you get, or, you know, the bedroom light. It's that warm kind of glow that you get, and that's incandescent. So honestly, for the beginning, I would really just say, if you're running a gun especially, just kind of use the presets. There's nothing wrong with that. Because the thing is as well, if you're a tiny bit off, in post you can shift it, you know, with the white balance, especially if you're shooting on log. It's really susceptible to being shoved around. So, you know, try and get it as accurate as possible. But if you're obviously a bit off, then don't worry. And what I would say, if you're really unsure, the best thing to do is to go into custom white balance, and you can actually choose something that is white or even gray, and you can select that, and it should set your white balance for you. So this is great, because sometimes you'll be in a situation where there'll be like natural light coming through. So you'll want to put it on sunlight, but then there'll be like incandescent lighting, which is very warm, and that is going to be coming, you know, like a light in the room as well. And you won't really know what to set it on. It'll be quite tough. So just setting a custom white balance can be so good. It can be such a lifesaver. Yeah, it's something I've started doing a lot more often, because, you know, having to set stuff in post otherwise can sometimes just be a bit irritating. But if you do have to set it in post, I would use the same kind of method. So look for something that's white or gray. So for instance, like these microphones are great because actually on the other side it's silver, and I normally have the other side sticking out. It's got like a, you know, a gray silver kind of look. And if you select that, you can actually set your white balance from that. So it's super helpful. Another thing I always find is like Apple screens. I used to work a lot in music and film a lot of stuff in music, and they always had Apple laptops. Oh, I just got run over. They always have Apple computers right on the desk, and if you select the gray outline, then you can normally set your white balance to that. So just look for things in your scene where, you know, your white balance might be a bit off. So yeah, that's pretty much how you set your white balance. And as I mentioned, like, make sure it's just as accurate as possible, because, you know, it's really annoying when you come back to your computer after filming and your white balance is a bit off. You do normally then have to correct everything. And sometimes you can be so far off that it actually does destroy the picture a little bit. I remember before I knew what white balance was, or I used to film the Black Magics, and I never set my white balance properly. It would always be really warm, so everything would be really orange. I never really understood why, you know, until I understood what white balance was. And then it was very hard to kind of bring that all down afterwards, because everything just like, it was just way too orange, like way too orange. So yeah, really try and get that as accurate as possible during shooting. Yeah, and that's all I've got to say on the subject, to be honest. Yeah, please leave in the comments if you want to know anything more. And if you do really want to know more, come and join my group. You can literally, I'll be like jumping on free calls in the beginning, group calls, and you can ask me questions. It's going to be great. As I mentioned, I'm super excited about this. So I'm going to link it below. Come and join my group and be part of the community. And also please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot.